Greetings, everyone. Welcome to our 5:30 meeting. We're a few minutes late. Apologize for that. I'm going to call the meeting to order. We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and now we'll open up the meeting. Approval of the agenda. Is there any additions or deletions? Need a motion. Need a motion to approve the agenda? Second?
Second.
Have a motion, have a second to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor? Seeing none opposed, motion carries. Commissioner Tremmel is not with us tonight for the 5:30 or the 7 regular meeting. She's at home with her mother, who is ill. Commissioner Marley is in Hope County. He's got some presentations that deals with some of the weather events that's coming up in emergency management, so he will not be here for the 5:30. He will try to attend the 7. But nonetheless, we'll continue on with our presentations tonight. We welcome those that are in attendance and those that are live streamed. The first presentation is item A, overview of municipal stormwater. Beth Brown, Stormwater Administrator, will give this briefing. I'll ask the board if they want to be recognized to just ask me, and I'll recognize to make sure that questions are asked and answered. Thank you, Beth. It's all yours.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. All right, we are going to do an overview of stormwater tonight. I am Beth Brown, for those of you who do not know me. In the back corner hiding is Tyler Riddle. He does not want to be noticed, so nobody ask him any questions. So I start pretty much every presentation I do with asking people what stormwater is, because I don't know that everybody knows. So stormwater is rainwater that runs off. So it's not just rainwater, it's rainwater that runs off. It can also be snowmelt that runs off. Where does it go? It goes to our drainage system. It goes to a drainage swale. It could go to a local water body. Where does the stormwater go on an undeveloped site versus a developed site? So if we have a wooded lot and it rains on it, that water goes where? In the ground. It infiltrates into the ground. The difference of a developed site is you've got the rooftop, you've got the driveway, you've got parking areas, you've got sidewalk, and that water has to run off. So part of Tyler and I's role is to regulate where that runoff goes, how much is allowed to go there, and how much they have to treat. I think there is a common misconception on stormwater as far as what we actually do. So the EPA basically requires towns and cities to regulate water quality, not water quantity. So there is a water quantity piece, but it's not the big piece. The big piece is the treatment of the water that's running off of the site, not necessarily the amount of water. I get a lot of phone calls when we get a lot of rain about flooding, and that's not really something that we can control. So I always bring up the fact that there are 2 separate sewer systems. There's a storm sewer system, and then there's the regular sewer system. And this is just a depiction of what the difference is. So when you flush a toilet, take a shower, take a bath, wash clothes, all of that goes into a pipe system. Sometimes it goes into PWC's municipal sewer system, which goes to a treatment plant. Other people have septic tanks, and that water goes into the septic tank, and it is treated similarly to how PWC treats it, just not with chemical. The storm drainage system is very similar in size, pipe-wise, and that water is collected from runoff. It goes to the storm drainage system, typically enters via a catch basin, and that goes untreated to our local waterways. So that's why water quality is important, because that runoff is not treated before it is released back into our environment. So the regulatory requirements for the town of Hope Mills started back in 1972 when the federal government came up with the Clean Water Act, and it was established to regulate water quality and the discharge of pollutants from the development that was occurring. There was a version of it in 1948. 1972 was the main Clean Water Act, and they did some changes and upgrades in 1977. States were required to implement programs back in the 90s known as a Phase 1 NPDES permit. So today, we have an NPDES permit. That stands for National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System. It is authorized by state governments for the implementation of permitting, administration, and enforcement, and that came about in 2005. Those were Phase 1 permits, so big cities, Charlotte, City of Fayetteville, all the bigger cities that had a certain amount per capita, so their population, they were designated as areas that would have a stormwater manager on site. The town of Hope Mills was issued our permit back in 2006, and our ordinance was updated to include the design standards in 2008, and those are post-construction regulations, so regulating when something comes in, what they have to do on site. But our actual ordinance was in place in 2006. The town has a Phase 2 permit, which is typical for a smaller municipality. And all of those permits include 6 minimum measures to meet the requirements of what the EPA says every town has to do. Those 6 minimum measures are public education and outreach, public involvement, illicit discharge detection and elimination program, construction site runoff controls, post-construction runoff controls, and municipal good housekeeping. So I'm just going to touch on those real quick so that you know like some of the things that we do. So the permit is probably 60 pages long, and it's a lot of legal jargon, but it's basically the state and federal government telling us very vaguely what we have to accomplish in a 5-year cycle. So our permit is for 5 years, and then we basically renew that permit every 5 years. They come in and do an audit sometime during the 5-year program, let us know what we're doing good, what we're not doing enough of, and then we start over with a new permit cycle. So for public education and outreach, we are required by permit to identify target pollutants. And in this town, typically we have vehicle maintenance, lawn care, pet waste, and trash and debris that seems to be the biggest problems. We don't have a lot of industry in town, so we don't have people that are discharging stuff out into the creeks or the waterways. This is simply residential stuff mostly. Our target audiences are residents, business owners, and schools. We distribute educational materials through displays, mailings, and by request. We have a media campaign through our partnership with QUEP. We do workshops, classroom outreach. We do have a line available for people to reach us whenever they need to. And that's kind of the big part of the public education. Public involvement, we do an annual public meeting. We support Clean Sweep through doing our household hazardous waste, and we've added the shred event into that, which is coming up soon. Mark your calendars for the end of April. We have an Adopt a Drain program that is online. People can sign up to adopt the drain that's near their house. We don't require them to get down in there and do any cleaning. It's simply letting us know if they see any issues in cleaning yard waste and yard debris from the top of that drain. And like I mentioned, we do an annual household hazardous waste event, and the purpose of that is to allow residents to bring us things that they would normally dispose of improperly, Sometimes they get dumped down the drain, sometimes they get dumped out in the backyard, but nonetheless, they're items that should be taken to a local dump site, and sometimes people just don't want to take the time to do that. The next thing on the list is illicit discharge detection and elimination. So we maintain an online through online GIS storm sewer system map, which is a requirement as well. I would say we inspect, but Tyler actually inspects. We have to do you remember what the percentage? 75% of the total outfalls in town. So that's the end of the pipe, whether it's going into a BMP or whether it's going directly into the creek. Those have to be inspected to make sure that they're functioning properly, not clogged. He does that part, and then there is enforcement associated with drains that have something coming out of them that shouldn't be coming out of them. We do public outreach programs, educational campaigns for citizens and businesses. And we also do employee training on that part of the system because there's a lot. Our police officers, fire department, and our maintenance staff is out a lot during the day, so there's just more eyes that can see what's going on. Our construction site runoff controls are actually administered by NC DENR through their erosion and sediment control program, so that is something that if we need them, we call them. The lady that does it is very much on top of it, but she has, I think, 5 counties that she oversees, so if we find something, we just email her and she comes out and does a quick site visit. There is talk at the state level of that being passed off to the towns and cities rather than the state doing it, but that would require another person on our end, so. Post-construction runoff controls. Basically, our stormwater ordinance regulates new development. So we review all plans that come in at a certain size. So if it is a residential lot, anything over an acre, if it's a commercial lot, a half acre or more, they are required to treat their stormwater on site. They can't just let it run off on the neighbor. We review plans and issue stormwater permits. We inspect BMPs. We verify the maintenance on the BMPs, review ordinances for opportunities for green infrastructure and design. And then last thing on the list is municipal good housekeeping, and that is basically us making sure that all the departments that have something that they do outside are doing that in a manner that is stormwater friendly. So we have training annually. We have preventative maintenance programs up at Public Works. We have O&Ms for facilities, conveyance systems, and SEMs. And we also do annual facility inspections just to make sure that people don't have things outside on the ground that aren't supposed to be there. When the state came and did our audit the last time, that was one of the things that they checked. They wanted to go up to the Public Works yard. Not gonna lie, I was terrified, but they didn't find anything, so it was great. So our master plan, we have a stormwater master plan that we did originally back in 2011. That was updated in June of 2025, and it's just a roadmap for the department. It has the areas in there that are flooding, typically due to undersized piping, NCDOT areas of concern, stream stabilization, and water quality projects, which are mainly on private property. So that is not something that we would be undertaking unless we had an overage of money that, you know, we needed to spend on something and all of our projects were already done. It includes a prioritization matrix for adding projects. So if we have something that comes up, we can add a project to that list, but it is updated once every 10 years and it's pretty costly to do that. All projects have a current cost estimate associated with them, and staff plans the projects as money is available or if we have some type of failure. And this is a current list. This is from the June 2025. That's the current list of projects. They're prioritized by score, by number, and then also the total cost. So you can see most of them are upwards of $1 million. There is some smaller projects, and there were a lot more on the list. We completed, I think, in the last 10-ish years, we've completed probably 8 pretty large projects, with the town hall flooding being one of them. The significance of the stormwater management for our town. So the department is mandated by federal government, and it's overseen through the state level permitting. Water quality is the main reason that we're required to have the program, but maintenance of our town streets and infrastructure has been a high priority for us. Between Tyler and I, that is something that we see, that the maintenance of the pipe systems went for so long without any type of really good maintenance. We've had really good outcomes with doing annual cleaning, so you'll see that come up on this year's budget. Keep that in mind. It is costly, but it is worth it during a major storm event. The department handles the administration of the permit, and we work very closely with Public Works on many aspects of repair and maintenance. So typically, if you see me out somewhere, you're probably going to see Bruce or Don as well, because we're probably scratching heads and trying to come up with an idea of how to fix something without spending too much money. And I put on here rain and stormwater management challenges, and that was just something, we have something that's going to come before the board. And it's basically a situation where when we have a heavy rain event, somebody who bought a house near the water is mad because they're inundated with water. Well, the rain is one thing I cannot control. So if we get more than the system is designed for, they have an issue, but it's not necessarily the town's issue. So we'll talk through that when the project comes up, but be prepared. Yes?
I just have a question. There's been times where I've seen PWC, I don't know if this applies to the town or not, come down the street, pull the manhole cover off, and smoke the water. I don't know what they're smoking in there. I don't know what's in there.
So remember the second or third slide, we were talking about the 2 separate systems.
Right.
So we do have manholes on the storm sewers. What they're doing is they put smoke in the sewer line because that is a closed system.
Okay.
And they're smoking that line to see where there are leaks in their system. A lot of times folks will have, I just saw something posted, I think it might have been the Fayetteville Fire Department posted, that they were smoking lines in this particular area. A lot of times if there is a leak, it'll come up through somebody's toilet and then set the smoke detector off in the house. I know that happened some years ago here, but that's a totally separate system. So ours would actually come out down the street if we smoked our line and come out of one of the catch basins, because our system is open, it's not closed. Theirs
Okay.
is completely sealed.
All right, good. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm showing you this just to let you know that this is today's list of local impaired water bodies, and we don't have any in our area. For the most part, Hope Mills is green. The purple means that they don't have enough information to provide whether it's good or bad, but we do quarterly water samples that we keep really just for ourselves to maintain a baseline. We're not technically required to do them through the state, but it could become a requirement if one of these streams becomes impaired. So we want to have a baseline just in case that were to happen. We're going to play a quick game. Is this a stormwater violation or not? Somebody said no, it's not. So that happens a lot of times. There are times that people mow and blow and they blow it into the street and cover the drain. That is a violation, but this literally just got picked up from somebody's yard or the curb line and washed down to the drain. We try to do checks on that and pick those things up. Violation or not? Definitely a violation. We cannot dispose of anything that should go somewhere else into the storm drain system because that's going straight to the creek. So I'm not sure if that's asphalt or paint that he's dumping down there, but if we do catch them, they do have to pay to clean that out, and it is pretty costly. Violation or not? No, this is actually a broken water line. They have no control over that. Also, like water from firefighting activities, if they have to foam something and then hit it with water, or water and then foam, those are acceptable discharges because it's a life safety issue and that trumps the environmental issues. Violation or not? Yes. So that is actually sediment from a construction site. So if you've been to a construction site, you see that black fabric up, a lot of times they don't keep track of that, and it falls down, which they're supposed to go and maintain it after every rain event. That's part of their erosion control permit. All right, how can the town board support the stormwater department? We prefer that you send your complaints, if you get them from citizens, to the town manager, because every situation is different. So if somebody contacts you and complains, I don't want you all to tell them, oh, well, we can handle that, and it's not something we handle. So best bet is to get it to Manager McLaughlin, and then he will distribute it to whoever needs to go and see. Ask questions if you don't understand. I'm here Monday through Friday. My desk phone rings to my cell phone, so even if I'm not here, you can still get a hold of me. And then ordinance changes. Obviously, we would like for you to support any ordinance changes that we bring to you. Basically, if we're bringing you something, it's probably because the state has made a change or we're having issues with somebody skirting the ordinance and we need to lock it up. If there are changes that you all would like to be made to the stormwater ordinance, you can also bring those up to the town manager and we can discuss them as well. Questions? That is an alligator.
Is that a violation?
Yes, absolutely. If I have to get down in there, that's a violation. Hopefully, this was not taken in Hope Mills. I stole this from the interwebs. But I'm glad that we have not seen one of those in our storm drain line. But that is what it looks like when we get the camera footage after construction goes on. That's what the inside of the pipeline, minus the crocodile.
Just briefly, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
I have a question. Does it matter what kind of soil runs into, we're talking about the retention pond, is it that red clay? Does it matter if that runs into something? Because I think that would probably clog up the drains.
Any kind of sediment running into a storm drainage system is not good, but that is a pipe system.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the BMPs, SEMs that you see out, wet ponds, detention ponds, retention ponds, anything like that, there's always a potential for erosion along the sides and the banks. And that happens because people come, I call them the mowers and the blowers. The landscaping company comes in and they want to mow it as low as possible so that they don't have to come back any more frequently than, so they mow it down, the grass dies, and then the next heavy rain event, you get erosion. So that is something that if we go out and do an inspection and there's erosion on the banks, it depends on how bad it is. Sometimes the grass will grow back in, but they do an annual inspection, and that inspection is for erosion as well. If it has washed too much and gets down in the bottom, they will be required to bring in like an excavator and scarify the bottom of the pond and get it back to the level that it was when it was developed.
Even if it floods off into something else, then that's not an issue?
If it floods off into, if what floods off?
There's a retention pond, then there's another pond beside it, and with a heavy rain.
So you're talking about your pond.
Right,
That's a forebay, so that's one pond, and those two features. The first part is a forebay, so its purpose is to capture the water, and it fills up. It's supposed to drop the sediment out, and then that runs over that little embankment into the bigger part of the pond where it is held, and that has the holding capacity to make it through. The problem is those were designed to hold the first inch of rain. So anything past the first inch of rain in 24 hours is coming out.
And
It's just like the pipe system.
And it runs in, there's another pond right below that, so when it rains, you know, for an extremely long amount of time, the water runs across but it lays there. So you might have a foot of water that lays there for days without going anywhere. And it looks like the smaller pond is stagnant. And there's a lot of people that actually throw garbage in that pond, so that makes me think, and it's I think it's about 9 foot deep. So that makes me, and you can't see it. So that makes me think that something has clogged one of the pipes in there. There was a shopping cart in there that they just pulled out. So they're throwing a lot of junk into that retention pond.
Unfortunately, there's two issues with fences. One, if the fence gets locked and the maintenance company does not have a key, they won't maintain it. The other is, if it's opened, it's used for disposal of whatever people don't want in their house. That's just part of the, it's just like the stuff on the side of the road. We clean it up and people
Yeah.
shuck it out.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're
Yes, ma'am.
very welcome. Any other questions?
Yes.
Yep.
Water quality. If a citizen say, my water tastes funny, it looks funny, how can I get a quality water sample, find information about the quality of my water?
So you are talking about drinking water,
Absolutely.
and we don't do that. That's PWC. So if somebody has an issue with their PWC water, I believe PWC posts that online. When I was there years and years ago, you could go online and pull the most recent ones, but I believe they're supposed to do a notification. I'm not sure if that's annually or not, but certainly call PWC, and they will come out and check the water lines and the water system, to make sure that it's what it's supposed to be.
So all the citizen need to do is call PWC, correct?
Yes, sir. There's a customer service line. I used to remember it off the top of my head. I do not right now.
We add that, maybe put that number as part of your manager's report too, as part of a contact for water quality or something like that? That way, when the citizens see it, it's there. We can refer them to the manager's page. Too easy. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Cisco.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Almost.
I won't turn it over to Mr. Cisco.
Beth, what projects are underway now in stormwater?
Let's go back.
What projects are actually in play, and what's the status of those?
So right now, none of these are underway. We have done some minor maintenance stuff, and I say minor, but they've been upwards of 40 and 60,000, some of them. It's more repair work than it is a full project, just because Drew had indicated to me that we needed to probably hold back some money for the stormwater reserve. So we have been, I think the last 3 years, we've been putting, basically any project money has been going into the stormwater reserve fund so that we can do one of these larger projects and not have to finance it, or if there's some type of epic failure. So we just recently did Falls Drive. We did a pretty major line repair. We've done a repair over on Bridge Street. And then the most recent large project was in coordination with Public Works over at Woodland Hills. That one is, we think, coming to a close. They had a couple punch list items that they needed to work on, and finalizing the final bill that they sent us. And we have also been tasked with the walking trail, which is we almost have an engineered design, almost. But we're on the clock because baseball's coming and I'll get in trouble.
Which leads me to my next question. What's the opportunities for grant funding for any of the projects?
So I don't know specifically about any of those that are on our big list. That's usually something when we hire our engineering firm, we will ask them to target any grant opportunities. But now that we have what is her name? Ingrid. Once we go to a project, she is really good at, once we tell her, hey, this is what we need to do, this is why we need to do it, she will go through and find something usually that is applicable.
That's the reason I brought that up, Beth, is because she is a huge asset to the town,
Very much so.
very much so for all of our departments.
Every single one of them. She offers assistance to all of us.
Okay. Questions? Got anything? No? Anything else? Okay. Board thanks you, Beth. Next item is item B, overview of municipal public works. Don Cisco, Public Works Director. Welcome, Don. Don, you want questions during the presentation, or you want them
After.
after?
After, please.
Okay, after. I should have asked Beth that, but I didn't.
Well, she's more flexible than I am. Probably literally and figuratively. All right, Public Works. One department, unlike most of the others in town, or probably all of the others in town, we'll talk money first, actually have 6 separate budgets in our department. 3 of them, the streets, sanitation, and POW bill, we cannot interchange any monies at all because it is very specific, comes from different funding sources, and it is literally the color of money. But our department overall has about a $4.6 million annual budget right now. Just to give you an idea, our vehicles, we've got about $2 million worth of vehicles sitting in our yard. Between the trash trucks, the claws, and everything else that we have. And just a little point to show the magnitude of what we do within the town, we will get requests for new cans and stuff like that, and people might think we're a little bit stingy, but if I were to tell you there's over almost $1.4 million worth of trash cans throughout the town, and you'd understand why, because taxpayers have to buy every single one of those cans. It's a huge asset. Expected growth right now, we've got over 4,700 single-family homes in the town, and over 1,300 are on the books. And by on the books, I mean they are either permitted or in the process of being permitted. And that does not include all of our multifamily homes that we've got in the town. There's a number of apartment complexes that I just don't know how many there are as far as units themselves. Our geographical challenges, we put this on here because we wanted folks to understand it's easy to say, I need something out in the vineyards. Well, the vineyards is our furthest north point, and you have to go all the way up New Hope Road. Anybody that's driven around Hope Mills, 8 o'clock in the morning, lunchtime, or getting close to quitting time knows that if you go from here to the vineyards, you're counting on 20 to 25 minutes. When our crews go out, we have the same thing. When we go to an area, it takes us 20 to 25 minutes to get there, 20 to 25 minutes to get back. You have almost an hour just in travel time alone. This is just a quick overview of our department itself. We've got our leadership team. We do have an administrator, and then we've got the service squads, sanitation, streets, buildings and grounds, and we've added a custodial department this past year. Okay, buildings and grounds takes care of the town hall, public safety center, public works facility. They do all the custodial services, maintenance and repairs, and the preventive maintenance contract oversight. Point of interest, besides all of the buildings that we do, everybody sees that they mow the yard right here. But we also do exit 41, all 4 ramps. We do up Camden Road, areas like that. Our guys maintain over 28 acres of lawn in the town, and it's not all in one spot. So when you go back to the slide where I showed you have to go up there and spend 25 minutes, we have to spend 20 minutes loading the trailer, get it there, unload it, do your work, load it, go someplace else. And we've got a number of areas like that. We do the dam structure maintenance. We take care of the operation and maintenance of the dam and the spillway. We do the emergency action plan for the state. That's an annual requirement, and towards the end of the year, we start reviewing it, and typically December is when we'll get our submittal in to the state. The eel ladder, we also do the eel ladder. Interesting thing about the eel ladder, for a 4-inch eel, we get questions for and are required to send reports to NOAA, the United States FWS, and the United States Army Corps of Engineers. Twice a year, we've got 2 migratory seasons. They run from 15th of March to the 15th of June and 1st of September to the 15th of October. And if we don't have those reports into the federal government, they're calling for an eel. We also do annual inspections. Schnabel is our engineer of record, and we do an annual inspection with Schnabel every year on the dam. That is not a regulatory requirement, but it's something that we do precautionary, and we feel it's a good practice. All right. A lot of folks don't realize that we take care of our cemeteries. We have 3 of them. The Adcock Cemetery over here behind Reeves Funeral Home, Legion Road Cemetery, which other people know as Hope Mills Cemetery, and the old McRae Cemetery that we recently closed off. And we do everything from selling the plots to mowing the grass. We don't dig the graves for the most part. We have dug for urns for people that have cremains, but we see families at their worst times sometimes, and we take care of them best we can. We do the gateway maintenance, like I said, exit 41. We have it at Camden Road, Legion Road, and then we have the 5 gateway signs that we maintain as well. Sanitation Department. Sanitation actually is covered in the ordinances. It's Chapter 78, Code of Ordinances for the municipality. And it outlines the scope of services. We do trash weekly, recycling weekly. And with that comes a cost. And right now, the refuse tax for our residents is $323 a year. And they also pay an extra $130 to the county to maintain the satellite sites. Non-negotiable, unfortunately, is the price of doing business. We do the contract oversight for waste management, and annually, just so that y'all know, we had over 5,000 tons a year of recycling and trash. A thing that's going to be coming up on the budget, also for information, a couple years ago, Pratt does the recycling, and we used to do we had it all incorporated in the recycling fee. They started charging a flow-through at $60 a ton. This year, it went to $80 a ton, and now it's going to go up by a percentage, a minimum of 3% every year. So that's going to be more monies that are going to be going to somebody else. We do yard waste collection by containers. We do have a vacuum truck to do loose leaf and pine. You all see the grapple truck around doing the limb collection. And we've added household furniture. By ordinance, we're supposed to do that twice a year. Because of the volume, we did 342 tons of furniture last year. So because of the volume, we started doing it bi-weekly. So every other week, unless there's something else going on, we will be around and pick up furniture. One thing that we do ask those folks to give us a shout and let us know that it's going to be there, because we actually have picked something up on the side of the road that we thought was for furniture, and somebody just left out for someone else to pick up, and they weren't happy. But, it happens. We provide special services for our senior and disabled. We call it's our backdoor service, where they don't have to roll their carts to the curb. The driver will actually go to their home and get it, as long as it's not inside a fenced area. We do pick tires. We'll pick up 4 tires a year per household, and we do sharps collection. We've set up an area. We fill up a drum. We probably do a 55-gallon drum once a year. We have to have them come and pick it up for all the sharps that our residents are discarding. We do the mosquito spraying program. Usually begins late May, runs through September, but it's all weather dependent. Our guys that do that are certified. They go through the annual state training and the state certification. One thing that we do get questions on a fair bit is the material we use is called biomist. It is vector specific. It's only supposed to kill mosquitoes. They say you could actually drink it as a human. I've not tried that, but they say that you can. All right, streets department. They do minor asphalt repairs, sidewalk maintenance, street sweeping. We added street sweeping last year, I think it was, and we do 113 curb miles of street sweeping. So it takes us a little bit of time to get around because the street sweeper running at a mile and a half an hour, 113 takes a little while. But we added that. We do the street sign maintenance, right-of-way mowing, and our street departments are the ones that do the road closures for town events and stuff like that. One thing that most folks don't really pay attention to until it's not there are the street lights. We are actually responsible for the street lights, or at least reporting the street lights. And another point of interest for the town is we don't have one utility. We have 4 electric utilities in the town. So you've got to know where you are and who you're dealing with when you're talking about whether it be street lights or power, wherever we need to go. We do snow and ice. DOT agreement for materials. They provide the salt and the sand. When we pick it up, we maintain it and we keep it down at the Pond Street area, and then we'll do the mix, and probably this weekend coming up, we'll be putting the salt boxes out. DOT will brine the major roadways, and then after an event, we will typically go out and sand the bridges first, and then we'll do the hilly areas in the town and go from there. We also do have 3 plows if we ever need to plow snow again. Doesn't look like it's going to happen this weekend, but you can never tell. Floods, we've got a lot of flood-prone areas. We do tree removals. We do have a temporary debris site that's permitted by the state. We've got 10 acres on the golf course that we have set aside. Typically what will happen if we have a hurricane and a flood, or that type of situation, we will send our guys out with the knuckle booms and whatever equipment we have, dump it at the temporary debris site because it takes a while to get those contracts into place. And then we will contract out for a company to come and remove it and take it to the dump. And then that way they take care of all of the administrative stuff too, because you're dealing with FEMA, and there's probably just as much paperwork as there is debris that you're getting rid of. All right. NCDOT maintained roads. We got a little over 12 miles of roads in town that are owned and maintained by DOT, and there's the list of them. I think y'all are pretty familiar with them. One thing that when we talk about DOT maintained roads, DOT does not maintain sidewalks. They will maintain the roads, but not the sidewalks. We do that, and we do that through a third-party agreement. Typically, it will be a developer building it, DOT authorizing it within their right-of-way, and the town accepting them for maintenance. PAL bill funding provides annual funding for municipalities for your construction, maintenance, and repairing of local streets, bridges, sidewalks. They are very strict on what that funding is used for. So, we try to be very mindful of that. The PAL bill mapping, you see the map on the side. It shows who the streets belong to. We've also added the town limits so you can see, what's actually in the town, what's not in the town, and you can tell what roads are whose. And we do that annually because when we do the PAL bill mapping, we also get to get increases in our PAL bill fund. So we try to keep that as current as we possibly can. Our capital projects that we've got going on right now. Bretton Woods Road resurfacing, it's in engineering. over 2,000 linear feet. We're looking at essentially milling it, doing an inspection on subgrade, and then putting down new asphalt. We estimate that's going to be about $600,000 less the engineering cost. And that's coming out of our POW bill reserves. What we usually do is with POW bill, we don't spend it all every year. All the money that's left over in POW bill goes into a reserve pot. Like I said earlier, you can't spend it anyplace else. It's got to go there specifically. So after we have so much in POW bill, we will put together a large project so it makes it more enticing to the contractors that you can actually get people to come out and bid on a project. So we've got that going on. We've got some state funds that we asked for a couple years ago and we're holding in the bank right now. One's going to be for the East Patterson Embankment Stabilization Project. We're taking a wag at that, about $2.5 to $3.5 million. We got that from state funding, and we got some of that through the ARPA funding stuff as well. The Woodland Hill Street that Elizabeth was talking about earlier, we got that through state funding, the majority of it. Part of it's going to have to come out of POW bill. That came out at $1.4 million was the contract, but there were a lot of unseen underground problems that we had to work around. So rather than trying to do a single change order at every home, if y'all remember previous board, we did a catch-all change order or an amendment to the contract for a catch-all change order at the end that will include everything, and we'll get that shortly. DOT FAMPO projects, we've got the Cameron Road sidewalk at $799,000 that will go from Hope Mills Middle School to Main Street. And like I said, that is we applied for a FAMPO funding on that and got that approved. That'll be an 80-20 match. We finished the multi-use path at the lake. That was almost $500,000, and the only thing we're waiting on it now is the DOT to do the final closeout on it. And then for the past close to 6 years, I reckon it is, we've been working on our ADA transition plan. This year we did Southampton, some of the curb ramps in Southampton, and sidewalks too along Princess Amelia Street. You know, so we've been working on that. And one thing I got to tell you this: people complain about us not doing anything for access. Is not true. We have spent probably about $600,000 for access since we started the ADA program. Just because it's not in their area or not something that they see, you know, we do it every year. We ask for money every year. We spend it every year, and keep going on like that. All right, external agency relationships. We've got the Gulfview Rockfish Widening Project going on right now. In the next couple of days, we've got drawings for a proposed aesthetic engineering for them. We'll put them on the wall here so everybody can see them. We do work closely with their engineers and with their project managers, so whenever we have road closures, anything like that, they let us know and we get the word out. We've got the Camden Road widening coming up. With that, we've in the process of doing a sidewalk agreement where DOT will put in a sidewalk for the entire length of the Camden Road project, both sides of the road. We will have to maintain it. You know, but I couldn't tell you how much money we're saving on not putting that right there. Maintenance agreements, we've got maintenance agreements with the Department of Transportation as well for Exit 41, like I mentioned earlier, Legion Road, Camden Road. We discussed a third-party agreement for the sidewalks and the FAMPO projects. We do a construction plan review to make sure that there is compliance with the standards and specifications for everything. And this is where I want to show you something. This is a road. This is, no kidding, part of one of the town streets. Seriously. This is before standards and specs were written. That is what people are driving. After standards and specs, this is a road. Yeah. And that's what we have right now. And we enforce that every time a subdivision comes on. We go out, we inspect the roads, they get poured, we get the sampling data, we make sure they sample for compaction, density, occupants, stuff like that. Yes, ma'am. So anyhow, we're in the process of accepting, like I said, we have got a lot of construction going on. So we listed the subdivisions that we've got going on. As they get to 75% complete, they will apply to the town to take over the streets for maintenance. We'll go out there and actually walk them and do a visual inspection on site. So we've got the test results, so we know what the lab work comes out at. And then, when we're done, I'll pass this out. Bruce is fond of saying that Public Works is not sexy, because we take out the trash and do stuff like that. And I know that y'all get calls sometimes from residents that say, well, you know, the guys didn't do what they're supposed to do. But when we're done here, I'm going to pass these out to y'all that you can see that our administrator started, when she gets the positive phone calls, we post these on the board. Resident calls, says, I appreciate you guys doing whatever it is they did. And I wanted y'all to see some of those. And with that, I'll take questions.
Okay, you gonna start? Okay.
I have a few questions. I wrote them down. What I see you guys out there cutting easements. What all easements in town do you cut, or do you, I think it's you guys on your truck and your mowers.
It is most of the time you'll see them, like I said, exit 41 is not ours. We mow that. We mow where we have homes, even though they're DOT roadways, if we have developments in that area, we will mow the right of way and keep those areas mowed and picked up, even though they're not ours. And we do that because if we let DOT do it, their standard is to do it once a quarter. And a lot of times when they mow, they don't pick up first. So if there's a mattress out there, you're getting feathers,
Okay.
you know, or something like that. So
My next question is, you say you pick up household furniture. Do you have a schedule out for that, and do you pick up electronics as well, or is it just furniture?
we cannot pick up electronics
Okay.
because we're not permitted in that part. It's every other Thursday, and all I have to do is call Nina in our office, and she will get you scheduled for pickup.
Okay, so there's no schedule then?
Every other Thursday.
Every other Thursday, okay. And your mosquito spray truck, I call it the skeeter truck. Do y'all have a gauge on that? Because a lot of times I see him flying down the road and nothing's coming out. And how does he know when?
There is no gauge.
Okay,
There's no gauges on them. They are certified and calibrated every year in the
Okay.
springtime before we go out. So, every once in a while, if you get a nozzle clog or something like that, there'll be times somebody will call us up and say, hey, they drove by and nothing's coming out the sprayer, and, we pull it in the garage, have to clean it up, because you just don't know what gets into them sometimes.
a lot of people commented on them. And a question about Princess Amelia, you talked about ADA. Now, I noticed some people out there, and I stopped and talked to them, and they said that what they're doing on the curbs is for people that are blind. They're able to, I don't know if it's true or not, able to, when they get to that curb, know where they're going.
Mhm.
Is that what that is?
It is for the visually impaired,
Okay.
mainly. They're called truncated domes, and what that does is it provides a different texture or feel for somebody, so they know they're going from a sidewalk to a different surface, which typically is a roadway.
Because they dug a lot of stuff out there, and nobody could really tell what they were doing.
Mhm.
Okay. And I just want to say that your guys that pick up the trash, they're excellent. They're friendly, they're very sociable, they're respectful, and they just do a great job out in the community.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? No? Okay. You know, there's always, citizens always ask about the gateways, about how the gateways are cleaned. And the majority of them, if not all of them, are maintained by DOT. So the question is, does DOT maintain these gateways quarterly?
That is their standard.
And the maintenance of the gateways, what does that includes cleaning the streets?
That I couldn't tell you what DOT standard is for, you know, cleaning the streets or anything like that.
Okay. But we don't clean any of the streets that are DOT maintained or owned.
Typically not. And the reason we don't do that is because of the time and cost involved. DOT standards, when you're talking about cleaning streets, you can't just put a sweeper out onto a right-of-way. You have to have signage before, after, typically another person and another vehicle as a safety monitor. So their standards are very restricting and costly to how you have to do it. And they also, you know, they talk about DOT reimbursements. You get reimbursed by curb length. A lot of DOT roads in town don't have curbs, so there's no reimbursement. Doesn't matter how long it is.
I could be wrong. I hope I am. But I cannot remember the last time I saw a street sweeper that was here from DOT. And I may be wrong, but I haven't seen one. And I see our gateways, and when folks come into our community, they don't know what's maintained and owned by the town or DOT. They don't know that. What they do know is that there's a lot of debris on all the gateways. And they assume that it's the town's responsibility to clean the gateways up, like George Owen, Hope Mills Road is a huge prime example. So that's the reason I ask. And I'm probably asking the wrong person. I probably should be asking DOT.
Probably.
That's probably where the discussion's going to go. Because more and more of our gateways is a reflection of us. And I don't want that negative reflection of us, because your department is exceptional in services that you provide the citizens of this town. On the positive side, that sidewalk widening project down at the lake, I hear so many positive comments about just that sidewalk, about how beneficial that is to the lake park. There's so many citizens that are very appreciative of just the sidewalk. And you wouldn't think that a sidewalk would really generate a lot of positive comments, but that one does. It really does, and I wanted to share that. Okay, nothing else? Last question. What challenges are you having now in your department besides funding? I know this one.
Well, it comes down to funding, because sometimes keeping qualified people is difficult when they can walk out and go someplace else for more money. And when I'm talking qualified, a lot of our guys have to be CDL drivers, and it is hard to get a CDL driver. You know, so we've actually looked into and started bringing on folks without them and providing the training. And we're working our way through the contract type wording that if we provide the training and they get it, then they're committed to the town for at least a certain number of years.
As it should be. As it really should be, yeah. We provide the training, we pay for the training, then they should stay with us for X number of years. Okay, is that all your challenges? Back to funding.
That's it.
Yeah, it's back to funding with Beth too.
Every day is an adventure.
Yep. Well, we've got budget process coming up here in the next couple months. So we appreciate it, Don and Bruce, and everything that you guys do for the town. We greatly do. With that said, anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Yep, that's what I
Motion
need.
to adjourn.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Have a motion, have a second. All in favor? Seeing none opposed, our 5:30 special meeting is adjourned. We'll start in about 20 minutes for the regular meeting.